Today we're going to have a look at Iran's honey traps in human and digital form. But before I do that, I would like to thank all my subscribers, and I also would like to explain a little bit about the art of intelligence. It is to provide information. It is not to tell what the client wants to hear or to have an opinion or take sides. The first case we look at is the case of Ruhollah Zam. In October the 20th, 2019, he was brought to Tehran in Iran, and according to the Times in London, it was claimed that the intelligence service in Iran used a woman to gain Sam's trust and lure him to Iraq. The Times claimed that this woman on the left, Shireen Najafi, spent 2 years to come close to Sam. This woman convinced him, according to the newspaper, to first travel to Jordan and then to Baghdad to meet Ali al-Sistani, because Ali al-Sistani had agreed to fund Sam's online activities. However, when Sam eventually came to Baghdad and brought over the border to Iran, later he was hanged. I will explain a little bit about ASMLA. It's the Arabic struggle movement for the liberation of Awas. Here we can see a province. This movement wants to have this province independent. It's an oil-rich area in Iran. And the leadership of this movement is in Denmark and the Netherlands, and it was also a little bit in Sweden. The ASMLA is known to be a separatist movement, and they have claimed responsibility for several assassination attacks, bombing attacks in Iran, and also the attack on the military parade in 2018. This woman spent 3.5 years to get into the movement. According to the leadership in Denmark, she never really gained their trust. They mistrusted her. However, one of the leaders in Sweden became good friends with her and stayed in contact with her for a 2.5-year period. And here we can see Habib Sharp in the airport in Turkey. We can see Sabrin Said, the woman before, also in the same airport in Turkey. They were in Turkey. Habib Sharp was brought over the border to Iran, where he faced a trial. We can see him here entering the courtroom. I would like to give a little bit more information because the leadership in Denmark, they have been investigated by the Danish Secret Service. Found out that 3 individuals in the top leadership were actually financing and promoting terrorism in Iran. Did that in cooperation with the Saudi intelligence service. So they have been now charged with espionage for the Saudi intelligence service, as well encouraging terrorism. The last case is a digital case, and this is actually quite an interesting case. The picture we see here is from Mia Ash. Well, not really, but that was the name that was used. And she had a quite big social media profile. The idea, this was an Iranian intelligence operation, the idea behind it was to get confident with people, become friends with them, and then at some point ask them for a small favor. And the favor was actually opening a file and then fill in some questions. However, the file contained puppy red, which is some malware, which means that you can take over the computer, you can read all the files, you can install more malware, so you can use the camera, the microphones, etc., etc. Well, let's have a look. What we know is that Mia, which is not the real Mia, it's obvious the Iranian intelligence officer, typically would contact people on LinkedIn, and then she was reaching out to people to have some questions. If possible, it was related to photography, but maybe it was related to other things. And eventually they would start talking about photography and travel. And then typically after 7-15 days, she would encourage people to add her as a friend on Facebook, where there were loads and loads of pictures. Now, my subscribers have asked me to dim it a bit down with naughty pictures, so I will not post any naughty pictures in this one or any in the future. But they were nice looking pictures of her. And then the they would typically keep on communicating via email, WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. Now, like I said, 500 friends on Facebook, 500 friends on LinkedIn. And then we look a little bit at her LinkedIn profile. If we look here on the left side, we can see this is lead editor for numerous books, gallery shows, etc., etc. But if we do a search, we find a complete the same profile, lead editor for numerous books, gallery shows, which means that the intelligence officer didn't bother to actually write something. He just copied something from somebody else and put it there. And if we look at the profile picture, this is Mia Escher's profile picture on LinkedIn. And you can see 500 plus members or followers. But actually, this picture comes from DeviantArt, where they just stole it. The target, typically men and from the 30 to 40-year-old in Saudi Arabia, United States, Iraq, Iran, Israel, India, Bangladesh. And they would typically be involved in industry that could be of importance for Iran. It could be oil industry, related industry, etc., etc. Now, again, let's quickly have a look at the pictures. This is Mia on some blog. And this is the actual real picture of the girl that makes the pictures, Bittersweet Venom. So again, I just took the picture, wrote a different text under it, and then published it. Eventually, when people became good friends and left a lot of likes on Facebook, she would send them a photo survey. She would say, hey, I know you like my pictures, please could you look at this, and then she would send them an Excel file, and in that Excel file there was a tiny piece of malware that then would enable more malware to come in, and then they could take over the computer. One mistake they did make was saying, oh, please open it on your work computer, it probably works better there. Now this is of course a big red flag. If anybody would have just clicked on one of her pictures, doesn't matter if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or the other media things she used, and you don't even have to use Yandex. You people know I prefer Yandex because it's much better, but even if you just use Google, you click on it, right click, and say reverse image search, the picture on the left side would pop up, and then if you press all sizes, you get the picture on the right side. And if you look at it, you can see this is Bittersweet Venom. Now, if anybody would have gone to DeviantArt and looked at Bittersweet Venom, then you would have seen that all the pictures of Mia on the profiles, no matter if it's Facebook or LinkedIn, were actually stolen from a person in another country. Well, that was it for today. If you have any questions or you have any wishes, please let me know. As always, thanks for watching, and thank you very much to all my subscribers. I highly appreciate the support.